Alright, welcome. So, for this video, I'm just going to be talking about the fastest method on trying to put on as much muscle as possible. So right now, it's just a video clip showing my normal exercise routine. So, to get as much muscle as possible in a short period of time, or trying to put on as much mass as possible, what you want to do is focusing on compound lifts. So, a compound lifts are lifts that involves multiple muscle groups to perform an exercise. So some examples of this can be stuff such as the bench press, the squat, the overhead press, deadlifts, rows, and much more. However, in my personal opinion, the ones I listed out right now are the ones that I tend to do. They're the best bang for your buck if you have to choose a compound exercise to do. So typically I break down my exercise routines by upper body, lower body day. So this day, as you can see, I'm working on my upper body. So the first exercise today is going to be the overhead press. The overhead press works the medial, anterior, and posterior deltoid. It is by far the most aesthetically pleasing part of the deltoids. This is what people are referring to when they say they want that cannonball looking shoulders. So right now I'm actually trying to focus a lot more on that too. So as you can see later on this routine, I'm going to be doing some lateral raises just for an accessory movement. Some other parts you want to know about the deltoids is that you have an anterior deltoid. For most people, that is the most overdeveloped portion of the deltoids, which actually leads to the rounding of the shoulders, which is a cause for bad posture. And then there's the posterior deltoids, the one that's the most neglected, and you can see it on the rear of the shoulder. So it's important to work every head of the deltoids to not lead to muscle imbalancement. Some other very important parts that are used in this movement are the pectoral major, triceps, abdominal, and traps. So increasing your overhead press carries over to other movements such as the bench press. For those trying to increase their bench, this is definitely a great exercise to get better at. The reason why is because it provides great development in both size and strength in the tricep and deltoids. Other great methods on trying to get stronger on the bench press is incorporating pin presses, floor presses, and even using dumbbell presses. So as you can see in my next clip, what I'm actually doing here is something referred to as, the flat bench press. So some great alternatives to this, which I actually was stating before, is the floor press, dumbbell press, pin press, and of course the incline bench press. However, to me, the incline press has very little carryover to the flat bench press. For overall size, the flat bench press is definitely one of the better options, but each press or pressing movement has their purpose. For instance, the dumbbell chest press has a greater range of motion compared to the barbell presses, allowing more muscle fibers to be used. In addition, if you have an imbalancement on one side of your body, the dumbbell chest press will expose this. The con with this exercise is that you cannot lift the same amount of weight compared to a barbell. The floor press is literally what the name implies, you're benching from the floor. So the floor press trains the mid and end range of your bench press, and very similar to this is the pin press, but the pin press can be used for both an overhead press, like an overhead pin press, and of course you have the bench press pin press. But right now I'm referring to the benching pin press. So what the pin press is that it's very similar to the floor press. It can be adjusted to target the exact area in which you fail to lift by either increasing or decreasing the height of the rack that you're putting in. Well, this can overload your arms much greater than the normal flat bench can. However, it lacks the range of motion of a traditional flat bench press. So just from what the bench press works out, the bench press works the triceps, the pectorals, the anterior deltoids, and multiple supportive muscles. So having a different grip width can allow for more tension in a muscle. For instance, as you can see from my video, I generally like to choose more of a narrow grip. This actually in return allows me to activate more of my tricep. However, if I took a wider grip, it placed more emphasis on my chest. Of course, there's a limit to how wide or narrow your grip should be. While having a wider grip might put more emphasis on your chest, it'll also put more tension on your shoulders. So if you go too wide, a lot of people actually face a lot of shoulder injuries because of this. The same thing can apply when you actually are benching too narrow. So what happens when you bench too narrow is that it's going to internally rotate your shoulders, which is going to put a lot of tension on your shoulder joints. Both can lead to shoulder injuries, so of course, just avoid doing this. So now let's talk about the lockout of that of the bench press. So the bench press lockout, it all depends about what you're actually doing it for. For instance, if the training day is more of like a heavier day for me, for instance, like the 3 or 5 rep range, many athletes who train for strength tend to actually do a lockout, and what the lockout does is that When your muscles are basically soft, they're not like resting, it puts a lot of tension on your chest, which of course you want in a bench press. But however, if you're lifting heavy, in strength training, locking your elbow is actually beneficial because it allows you to rest and actually take a breather, so you can actually breathe first and then pump out another rep. However, if you're trying to work more in volume, you would want to do more of like a pump press. So you want to pull out as many reps as possible. Of course, the tempo is going to be nice and controlled. I like a 2-second descent and then explode upwards. However, this would be better not to lock out your elbows for that specific reason. The exercise you see me doing here is actually the Barbell Row, and it's one of, if not the best back developer exercises. The only thing I could argue is just as good, but I still believe the Barbell Row is better, is the, what's called again, the pull-up, the weighted pull-ups. That's another exercise that I actually tried to put in my routine, but right now I'm doing the Barbell Row because right now I don't have a pull-up bar, but whatever. So the primary muscles being used in the rows are the posterior deltoids, the lats, the teres minor and major, and the rhomboids. So you can choose to do this exercise with a wide grip and a double underhand grip. I personally choose to do a narrow double overhand grip because I feel my muscles being engaged more. However, to each their own, of course, it's a great option to try to alternate between the grips. So try different variants of the grips and see which one works best for you. So other than my rows, which you can see here, I'm doing a couple of sets here. I'm actually trying to like doing, I'm pretty sure I do 8 reps for this. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's like around 8 reps. So of course, just squeezing my back, lifting to my, try to lift as close as possible to my sternum. I have really long arms, but I'm sure you guys can't see it from the back portion. You want to train each compound movement at least twice a week. So I do this by having a heavy and a light split for each exercise. For instance, today was a heavy overhead press day, so my bench press was light and my rows were light. Of course, light sets still need to be challenging. Okay, so I guess even before that, I actually want to get into, yeah, you know what, let's just finish that off. So I usually finish off my exercise with some accessory lifts. For any body part I feel like is lagging, I tend to put in like extra work into them. For this workout, I chose to do the lateral raise to target on the medial deltoid. I unfortunately do not have any dumbbells, so I had to use my 25 pounds plates. Some other accessory movements I tend to do is the barbell curls, which I actually just tried to low my my Olympic bar right over there, and I actually either stack the 45 pounds or 35 pounds depending on the day and how I feel, and try to do some curls with that. Some other type of curls I like to do too is reverse curls. So normally how I actually train, I want to do each one of these compound movements at least twice a week. Accessory movements you can do at the end of each workout. So usually for me, I do curls and my lateral raises. So I just add those in depending on what I need to do. The way I'm able to do each one of these compound movements twice a week is by having 2 types of days, which is a heavy day and a light day. So for instance, today was a very heavy overhead press day, so my bench press was light and my rows were light. The light sets still need to be challenging, just not to a point of failure. So I usually try to work out the same muscle group after a 48 hours period. I don't want to try to exceed 72 hours. I usually do the same routine, for instance what I just explained right here, on the day after, like let's say 48 hours after, but the only thing I swap out is the difficulty of each exercise. For instance, like I said before, this was a heavy overhead press day, so 48 hours from now would be my heavy bench press day. And then for my overhead press, instead of doing the 5 reps range, I'd be hitting sometimes up to 8 to even 12 reps with that, and just banging them out for sometimes 3 sets, depending on how the day feels. So yeah, so my heavy sets usually range between 3 to 5 reps. Specifically looking at the compound movements, I don't want to train over 60 reps of each movement. So the only exception to this rule that I actually have is the deadlift, and the reason why I don't do the deadlift twice a week is because the deadlift is very taxing on the central nervous system. So some clear signs of that you're getting fatigued with it is that your grip strength starts to give away. Some other signs are that your form starts to break down, so it's a good idea to actually record yourself while deadlifting. Of course, there's some people who are able to program it twice a week. However, I try to stay away from this. The reason why I don't deadlift like twice a week or just don't even go over that 60 rep mark is because what's going to happen is that you're going to actually burn yourself out and you're going to need to go into a deload week much earlier than you were supposed to be. So for those of you who do not know what a deload week is, so a deload week is a period of time in which in most cases is a week that allows your body to fully recover. So this is accomplished by lowering the intensity of the workout. Intensity can be decreased by two methods, either by decreasing the weight of the exercise or by lowering the volume. So I'm not a big fan of lowering the weight significantly, just because it takes me a longer time for my body to get adjusted again to lifting my previous heavier sets. So I generally drop the volume by 50% and decrease the weight by 10 to 20 pounds. Of course, everyone is different. Depending on how intense your workouts were for the past couple of weeks, your deload week can take place anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks of consistent training. For me, my last deload week was like, let's say 3 weeks ago. So normally my body tends to actually get fatigued around the 5 weeks mark. But again, some people might be a bit higher than this or might be a bit lower. It's whatever. Some indications that you're actually building up a lot of fatigue and you might need a deload week is that you start to plateau or you start to regress in strength. However, sometimes these factors could be caused by a lack of sleep, nutrition, and stress. So make sure to take care of your body. Thank you for watching my video. Please like the video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me.